natural jealousy and dislike that they have had toward Robyn.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Reality Recap. Don't forget to press that subscribe button and thumbs up on this video. Dayton Brown, the oldest child that Robyn and her ex-husband David Jessup share, has remained low-key for a very punning time now. Whereas Sister Wives provided the public with a look at his childhood, Robyn has grown more and more secretive about details regarding him as he's become older. Dayton suffers from Asperger's syndrome, yet even with that, most of the Brown children have formed bonds with him. It appears now, though, that Dayton has cut ties with the family entirely. To figure out how it came to this, continue watching. Speculation over Dayton Brown's hasty exit and possible name change has created quite an uproar among Sister Wives fans. News claims Dayton left Robyn and Kody's house and opted to reside in an RV parked outside. Soon after, it was claimed that he moved back in to reside with his biological dad, David Jessup, and that things did not go as planned. While rumors circulated that he reverted his last name back to Jessup, Dayton eventually went back to Brown again. Many are convinced that Dayton never adjusted to being adopted by Kody. Kody and Dayton have always seemed strained in their relationship, particularly with the COVID-19 pandemic. Insiders said Dayton made the move to the RV mostly because of disagreement over Kody's family policies at the time. Is Dayton residing in Texas these days? That's what certain Sister Wives enthusiasts are now wondering. Neither Kody nor Robyn has commented on his whereabouts, but several online sleuths directed fans to Dayton's LinkedIn profile, which reportedly mentions Texas, where his biological father resides, as his location. Whether or not he resides there full-time or simply for business isn't specified. Nevertheless, many fans are relieved to know that Dayton was not brainwashed by the influence of Robyn and Kody. He seems to be establishing a future for himself beyond the microscope of the reality television universe. His LinkedIn profile indicates he works for a Texas-based company, although it's not certain if that verifies that he's living there. His bio does indicate Texas. David Jessup has allegedly younger children, but there is no indication Dayton resides with him. And for real? If Dayton has no desire to film anymore, more power to him. A commenter even cracked, "Good for him if he doesn't want to be on screen with those clowns," and then included a rolling on the floor laughing emoji. Both the camper and the family house were once for sale. In the event that the camper was not sold, it could have been relocated, but nothing is official. Some believe they've seen Dayton, face obscured, at Garrison's funeral, standing respectfully with the first Brown children, instead of alongside Robyn and her kids. Dayton was able to graduate with a triple degree: business administration, information systems management, and marketing. His LinkedIn also has top-level corporate leadership and analytics certifications. Everyone suspects the move of the family to Flagstaff was spearheaded by Dayton's college ambitions, causing the other wives to adapt in turn. Ultimately, though, Kody put Robyn and her kids first, leading to the eventual disintegration of the family. At this point, Dayton appears to be concerned with his own autonomy. If he is in a relationship or not now, nobody knows. But his mom, Robyn, has said that Dayton has his own set of issues with autism. Still, she praised him as incredibly smart, though he had difficulty making friends in school. As viewers look back on season 19, most are guessing that this might be the series finale of the show. The fourth installment of the tell-all was the official conclusion of the season, a season emotionally so deep, particularly with the tragic loss of Garrison. In spite of all that's transpired, Kody still blamed his former wives throughout the tell-all, laying blame on them for destroying the family. Yet others feel the heartache will not endure. To discover what's to come, tune in. Kody Brown, however, appears already accustomed to being a one-woman man. His and Robyn's $2 million home wasn't discussed at the tell-all, but there's no doubt Kody is done with plural marriage. In one-on-one interview with him, he actually said that he wouldn't even select polygamy again, no matter how much of a second chance he was given. Robyn, though, indicated that she would. Though Robyn may still be willing to give plural marriage another shot, she also realizes that Kody no longer appears interested in looking for new wives. He's made it definite. His loyalty is now exclusively on Robyn. He's even responded with irritation when anyone mocks or questions that statement. But the biggest questions rest with Kody's relationships, with his children and former wives. With the new updates and his increased isolation, it seems less and less probable that the family will reunite for another season of Sister Wives. Apparently, prior to the filming of the tell-all, Christine had asked for child support from Kody, an aspect that many feel instigated his on-screen anger against her. In the meantime, the long conflict over the Coyote Pass property has finally been settled. Janelle and Meri got 25% each from the $1.5 million received from the sale of the property. So, unless TLC is going to continue broadcasting reruns of Kody griping non-stop about his former wives, it appears that there is no interesting story to be told anymore. Inside the tell-all, Kody himself stated a heartfelt desire that his former wives just move on with their lives and leave him alone. Most of the Sister Wives fans think that The Hurt, and most likely the show itself, are at its intended conclusion following the fourth installment of the tell-all. Online discussions also provoke discussion. Is this really the end of their ordeal, or merely another twist on the story? A few viewers mentioned how the series continually manipulated the plotlines. For example, Robyn insisted she didn't even recall applying makeup on a camping trip when the other wives were occupied watching the kids, a scene that seemed to ring hollow with many as another instance of selective memory. While some fans speculate there could be spin-offs centered on the ex-wives, others are convinced that May 19th marked the final farewell for the Brown family on TV. "I'm over it," one viewer wrote. "It hasn't been the same since the catfishing era. Every time they bring it up like it's new, it's exhausting. Not all of us have amnesia. Some were more negative, expressing their skepticism that so long as the program generates revenue, it will never be stopped. They'll milk it until the money stops coming in," one viewer said. "Would I tune into a spin-off with the ex-divorced wives? Yes, but I'm done with watching Kody, Robyn, and the craziness." For many longtime viewers, Garrison's passing marked a turning point. The emotional weight became too heavy. The fame, combined with the already toxic family dynamics, may have left scars that go far deeper than the show ever revealed. One of the young men, Dayton, Robyn's eldest son, spent years silently on the periphery as the family disintegrated. His formative childhood, living in a broken home, was only briefly revealed to viewers. While reality television presented us with a sanitized version of his life, Dayton's adult life now serves as a testament to quiet revolt and self-empowerment. Once trailed around the clock by cameras, Dayton now moves on a very different trajectory, one delineated by privacy, independence, and a search for his own identity. His childhood was one of the tumult of a mixed-up family under public scrutiny. He grew up in a home where so-called father figures frequently disregarded the emotional needs of all the children that surrounded them. Being the oldest child of the latest wife, Dayton always held an awkward and special place within the family structure. As he grew older, Robyn went out of his way to hide his life from the cameras. By adulthood, Dayton was virtually out of sight on the show, not because of a production decision, but a personal one. Eventually, it was said that Dayton had finally moved out of the house that he previously shared with Robyn and Kody. Initially, he was reported to be residing in an RV parked just outside. Both literally and metaphorically, positioning himself away from the conflict within. At one point, fans took it to be a temporary arrangement. But shortly thereafter, reports verified that Dayton had made a more lasting transition, not merely to a new town, but back to the hometown of his biological father, David Jessup. Perhaps most symbolic of all, though, was the alteration in last names, a subtle yet potent indicator of where he now is. Born with the name of his biological father, Dayton was later adopted and renamed by his mother's husband. But those intimate with the circumstance report that Dayton finally did decide to adopt back his birth name, a moving yet subtle gesture carrying great significance. Regardless of whether it was done for the sake of legal clarity, the move was symbolic of something more significant. Dayton was selecting his own identity, defining it for himself, on his own terms. The pandemic only amplified the stress on family relationships, especially for Dayton. He allegedly became more and more irate with what he saw as Kody's dominating control, strict rules and severe isolation that strained tensions to the breaking point. After one especially tense argument, Dayton packed his bags and stormed out, not just from the home, but from the man who had once called him a son. From then on, Dayton opted to remain out of the limelight. Over time, fans started noticing his absence, not only from reunions and holidays, but also from social media and any public family moments. His silence only created more speculation. But behind-the-scenes people teased that he wasn't disappearing out of spite. Instead, he was creating another Same, one based on peace and individual freedom. According to professional profiles and online rumors, Dayton is said to be residing in Texas. There's a profile associated with his name that suggests he works for a corporation with its base in the state, presumably close to his biological father. Such proximity has been responsible for many believing there has been a low-key reconciliation with his paternal family. Although it is doubtful that they are actually living together, most fans have rallied behind Dayton's decisions, welcoming the manner in which he's retreated from the turmoil of reality television to establish a steadier, more secluded existence for himself, an existence free of the tumult of television polygamy. With brilliance and resilience defining him throughout his academic career, Dayton graduated with honors after pursuing marketing and management information systems. He is also advanced certified in business analytics and strategic leadership, testimonials to his success compared to the stormy emotions he endured during his childhood. It is no secret that sacrifices were made within the family to facilitate Dayton's college ambitions. The relocation to Flagstaff, which was deeply shaped by his academic trajectory, was at the time framed as a collective family choice. But looking back, there is another tale to be told. The move uprooted lives, tore apart emotional support networks, and tore open wounds that never fully closed. Ultimately, the move split the family, despite the advantage it brought to select members. But still, Dayton is not remembered as defiant or bitter. Supporter accounts tend to paint him as reserved, calm, and dignified. His decision to depart wasn't theatrical, it was an exercise in quiet defiance. He didn't react violently. He just departed. There isn't much to be said about Dayton's love life, and according to Robyn, even befriending him wasn't easy because of the special kinds of problems he encountered. Nevertheless, she's always complimented his intelligence and toughness, qualities that have obviously worked for him. Some fans believe they spotted him recently, standing quietly apart from the main group at a family memorial. If true, that image captures the complexity of his journey. A young man who hasn't completely severed ties, but has created a protective emotional boundary. He might not show up in family photos, holiday greetings, or shout-outs, but to most viewers, Dayton is still a face of grace under fire, a young man who quietly suffered and walked his own line with integrity. There are questions still left unspoken: why he won't appear on the show, isn't spoken of during family gatherings, or mentioned in public memorials. But maybe that's what's planned. Dayton doesn't require epic confrontations or sit-downs to share his tale. His script is founded on self-reliance, inner resilience, and a quiet type of bravery. The final episode of what began as a groundbreaking reality show, a dive into the intricacies of polygamous living, might have closed with a somber note. After all the emotional turmoil, here today, gone tomorrow allegiances, and insidious dissolution of what was once a bonded family, the series did not end in mending or reconciliation. Rather, it concluded in brutal, unvarnished realities that stripped everything of any pretense of harmony. As long brewing tensions finally boiled over in sight, the finale played out with greater tragedy than reconciliation. Particularly after the devastating loss of a cherished son, what was left was a fractured picture of privilege, feelings of loneliness, and profound emotional fault lines, growing out of what had been initially marketed as a daring social experiment in plural love. For countless devoted followers, the message couldn't have been more explicit. This episode is over. In the later episodes, it became evident that the family's patriarch was undergoing his own transformation. He spoke openly about craving a simpler life, one free from the entanglements of plural marriage. The man who once championed a large communal household had turned his back on the very structure that once defined him. Standing next to him, his sole surviving wife expressed her own conflicting viewpoint. She held on to the notion that the shared vision could still be reborn, even as she acknowledged that her husband had forgotten what they were constructing. This divergence, this division between individual wants, placed a shadow of uncertainty on the future of both the family and the series that mapped their lives so intimately. The hope of continuing to expand the family with yet more wives was officially dashed. That rejection wasn't simply an indication of a change in lifestyle, it was the symbolic conclusion of the entire saga. Now what remained was a monogamous couple looking back at years of pain, public blunders, and personal disconnection. The shattered relationship between the father and his adult children highlighted the emotional price of all that had been lost. Family dinners together, family vacations, holiday rituals, lost. Replacing them, quiet, distance, and alienation. In a dramatic action that only served to illustrate just how divided things had become, one mother, who had once been a central figure in the family, went to the courts to fight for help for her children. Another former wife, after all these years of emotional investment, appeared to chase only monetary closure, selling her share of the joint property. That property, once seen as the foundation of a family legacy to come, became simply another commodity to be split. A foundation to be built upon by generations to come, it was instead sold in bits and pieces. With each of the wives getting an equal share, the sale represented both physical and emotional breaking free from a now-defunct dream. As all of this unfolded in real time, viewers flocked to the online world to express their emotions and forecasts. The central theme of them all, the end had arrived. The tale had been told. The family was no longer whole. The plural lifestyle had been discarded by its most vocal proponent. The children, who were once the emotional center of the show, had all but vanished from the fray. All that was left was a lone relationship, one that, to most, was the very unraveling of everything that had ever come before. A lot of old viewers complained of fatigue. Storylines had become cyclical. Emotional manipulation, particularly in tightly cut confessional sequences, had never felt more heavy-handed. Historical traumas were constantly restated for the purposes of drama, leaving some fans wondering if there was anything left to say. And yet, Even during the midst of tiredness and goodbye, there were tastes of new beginnings. Whispers of spin-offs were circulating, tales that could center on each woman's personal journey as a former wife who shared a husband. Now living independently as single moms, business owners, and independent minds, they could bring new, empowering insights. The women who had been tied together by a man were now emerging with fresh purpose and freedom, even if the core narrative is coming to an end. Even if the main plot has come to an end, its offshoots are still full of possibility. The loudest critics of the recent episodes did not mince words. They accused the writers of inconsistencies in their presentation of events. In one scene, the surviving wife said she could not recall what had irked the others against her. Another scene, where she outlined applying makeup on the occasion of a group outing when other wives had been occupied with childcare, left viewers gobsmacked. These scenes questioned the genuineness of the show and triggered heated debates over performative remorse as well as selective memory. Opinions on the show's legacy remain deeply divided. Some viewers credit it with opening up important conversations about love, freedom, and faith, while offering rare insight into a lifestyle few understand. Others argue the series devolved into a messy spectacle, one that prioritized ratings over the dignity of those involved. Still, no one can deny the show's impact. For more than a decade, audiences were invited into the living rooms, kitchens, and bedrooms of a family, fighting to manage an always polarizing way of life. The emotional highs and heartbreaking lows ignited anything from sympathy to scorn. And now those same devoted viewers are left with one simple question: what now? And as the lights dim and cameras fade to black, will the true healing start? Will broken relationships heal away from the limelight? Will the ex-wives peaceably restart, opting for tranquility over hype, and construct new lives in serene locations? Some will turn to activism. Others will pursue at last the dreams deferred. And the kids, once bright, smiling faces on television, now stand on the threshold of adulthood, formed by circumstances most can only try to comprehend. There will perhaps never be a formal goodbye, to take a bow, to blow a final kiss, to fire a satisfying bullet in the gun of goodbyes. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps the quiet is louder than any farewell ever scripted. The strongest indicators of closure aren't emotional interviews or promo spots. They're the silence of not having a new season, the unexplained disappearance of teaser trailers, the completed property sales, the court documents. That subtle, steady dissolution etches out the true ending, more powerfully than any painstakingly constructed episode. Maybe this is how it was supposed to end, never with a dramatic finale, but with comprehension. Not a bang, but a pause. It's one last opportunity for longtime readers to bid farewell to a narrative they've known for years. And it's an opportunity for the family, what remains of it, to finally catch their breath, free from scrutiny, distant from the eye. Thanks for watching. Remember to click that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up for more updates daily. Catch you all again soon.